The Proclamation of the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Jesus and his disciples left from there and began a journey through Galilee, but he did not wish anyone to know about it. He was teaching his disciples and telling them, "The Son of Man is to be handed over to men, and they will kill him. And 3 days after his death, the Son of Man will rise." But they did not understand the saying, and they were afraid to question him. They came to Capernaum, and once inside the house, he began to ask them, "What were you arguing about on the way?" But they remained silent. They had been discussing among themselves on the way who was the greatest. Then he sat down, called the 12, and said to them, "If anyone wishes to be first, he shall be the last of all and the servant of all." Taking a child, he placed it in their midst, and putting his arms around it, he said to them, "Whoever receives one child such as this in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but the one who sent me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Our Gospel for this Sunday is taken from St. Mark. We have been reflecting on true greatness found in humility and service. In the first reading, the Book of Wisdom presents a wicked person, a person beset by wickedness. And because of egoism, self-centeredness, this person doesn't want to listen to a just person. Instead, he or she will subject the just one to torture, to the test, to test whether the person is truly just and consistent with his teaching. And wow, because of false greatness, the wicked person decides to even test God. Let us see if God will help the just one when he or she is being tortured. This is the height of pride, wickedness, all because someone is focused on oneself, egoism, refusing to serve, refusing to listen, even to God. In the second reading, St. James warns the Christian community. Envy, jealousy, strife, they all come from within, the inner cravings that are misplaced. In the heart would come even plans to murder. Look at that false sense of greatness. Because I want something for myself, because I want to protect my interest, I cause havoc in the Christian community. So St. James tells us to be open to the wisdom from above, whose action is through justice and peace. Again, in the life of a community, we should guard against this temptation to be great in the wrong way, great but destructive of other people and of the sense of community. The Gospel presents to us another prediction of Jesus about His passion. He tells His disciples, He is truly the Son of Man, but yes, He will be arrested, He will be ridiculed, He will be put to death, but on the third day, He will rise again. The image of a Messiah, the image of the Son of Man, quite contrary to the glamour, the glitter of the political figure, liberator, that most of them were waiting for. A totally unexpected view of the great liberator. And so we cannot blame the disciples if they could not at this point fully understand the words of Jesus. Well, to begin with, rising from the dead, that was a concept that was not fully developed yet during the time of Jesus and the disciples. And you know how simple the disciples were. They were not schooled in this deep theological, scriptural lessons in other rabbinical schools. And so when Jesus talked about His rising from the dead, well, they did not understand that, no? So we can be empathetic, compassionate to the disciples. But another manifestation of their failure to understand the message of Jesus about greatness, the greatness of the one sent by God, is their conversation. They were, in a way, arguing among themselves about who is the greatest. Again, this whole discussion, imagine the frustration of Jesus. He has just taught them about greatness in the Son of Man, manifested in humility, even in death. But then, after listening to Him, they were back to the worldly concern. Who is the greatest among us? How do we become great? Now, Jesus, ever the great, humble teacher, first does not negate the fact that, yes, we should consider greatness. It is probably part of the human heart to search for greatness. It seems Jesus takes that for granted. But then He reminds them, if you want to be great, then you should be the least. If anyone wishes to rank first, he or she must remain the last of all and the servant of all. Jesus seems to be telling the disciples, okay, go right ahead. Discuss greatness. That's good. But I tell you, locate greatness in its proper place. You want to be the first? Be the last. And being the last, be the servant of all. Okay. Then, Jesus calls a child which is a symbol of the humble ones, of the helpless ones, of those who depend on God. A child is a symbol of the poor. And to emphasize the humility and the service the true greatness must carry, He tells the disciples, look, you must welcome and serve not just the powers that be. The test of your greatness is when you are able to welcome mere children. When you become the servants of the poor. When you become the servants of the least in society. When you become the servants of the outcasts. Meaning, if you consider yourself lower than the poor, the marginalized, the outcast, then you are truly great. So, my dear brothers and sisters, greatness here is measured also in the way we become lower in humble service, lower to the poor and the little ones of society. That's true greatness. So, the wise person, open to the Spirit from above, will embrace such greatness. He or she will have no time for envy, jealousy, plotting against just prophets. He or she will just be devoted to humbly serving the least of all. And when that happens, true greatness erupts in our midst. I have been privileged to serve, for example, some of the homeless people that were abandoned in the streets in the United States when I was a student. At first, you do it only out of duty, and you really want to serve. But after the first day, you realize, wow, it's not easy to be a humble servant, especially when those you are serving are giving you a headache. It's not easy to serve those who are wounded, those who are crying out for help, yet reject the help that you are extending. The need to purify one's heart, purifying your heart. You want just to be of service. And when you survive, you understand it is not for greatness, but it's simply out of love. And when I said goodbye to them before coming back to the Philippines, I was so much edified by some of them and so touched by their words. One of them said, "Who are we to be served by a priest?" And I said to myself, but that is what a priest should be doing. The greatness that we should be aspiring for is the greatness of one who considers himself the servant of the least and the poor. The word has been exposed. Let us now fulfill it.